Hello, this is Cal with Wealth Income Solutions, and thank you for listening to our new video blog that we'll be doing moving forward, where we discuss developing stories in a post pandemic business world. Our focus is long term for investors and entrepreneurs, and we focus on strategies that are kind of been forgotten or kicked to the curb since the pandemic. The truth is, the market stands at the highest point it's ever been, and there's been numerous records broken through the NASDAQ, which has been awesome to see. But yet, you're only having a handful of companies that are propping the market up, which does not fare well with what the market should be doing right now. So the market's continuing to move on an upward trend, yet there's no evidence in the economy to support that. So the question is, when does the volatility start? Well, there's no real reason to know, or there's no way to know when that volatility is going to start, because the rules are kind of set in opposition. You see, we put trillions of dollars into the stock market, and along with the pandemic, so here we sit post pandemic, and it's kind of discombobulating the system a little bit to where it's very difficult to make out what kind of forecast that we depended on in the past prior to the integration of the federal stimulus, which of course goes back to the Great Recession of 2008. I believe the first stimulus was in 2008, as a matter of fact. So here we are today in a post-pandemic world, and what we want to do is show relevant articles to let investors know that it is a period of uncertainty, and the rules are kind of acting odd for again, a couple of reasons: the introduction of the stimulus, and also because we're in a post-pandemic world and we're just trying to get back to pre-pandemic standards. But nonetheless, here we are. So we want to be able to show investments that can take on volatility head on and focus on the long term, making sure that investors don't take a step backwards on their 401k or their Roth IRAs or their 403b or different investments they may have. So without further ado, I wanted to share this article I found on CNN Business, labeled "Inflation is Rising, but the Reasons Why Are Changing." And it kind of caught me off guard when I had to read that a couple of times to kind of make sense of it. And it's true, the reasons why are changing. And what this article is talking about is inflation sits at about 5% right now, yet the mortgage rates sit at an all-time low or near an all-time low. The 10-year Treasury bonds very, very low as well. I believe they said 1.75, and yet here we are at the highest point the market's ever been. So the question is, how long can it maintain that way? How long before we integrate the supply chains and we stabilize for example, the car industry, or lumber becomes completely stabilized, or the housing market, which is crazy right now. In fact, in Austin, Texas, if you're going to buy a property, which I'm hearing is a lot of other places as well, you're going to put down anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000, and that's just for a single family residence of about 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. If you go above that square footage, and you're talking more cash down, yet that money's not being reflective of the values of the property. So it's almost like, here's cash to get the contract, and here's what you want to buy it for. So it's kind of like you're seeing odd trends kind of form that way. And why? Because the market's reacting very inversely from all the federal stimulus, from the pandemic, and they're doing the best they can to try to stabilize that market and make sure it stays up, which we don't believe is going to stay that way. We're of the belief that the stock market is overinflated by about 30%, and that this volatility was and is expected moving forward, especially when you're going through a global pandemic that took as much time as it did for the vaccines to roll out. So nonetheless, here we are today. It is July 11th, and I wanted to share with you this article about inflation being at 5%. So we'll have many other articles that we'll discuss throughout the week and moving forward. So please stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Cal with Wealth Income Solutions. And if you want more information about what we do or how we help investors, you can check us out at wealthincomesolutions.com. Thank you for listening.